Seoul to protest against the recent arrests that were made by the U.S. Immigration Authority at a Hyundai plant in Georgia. Protesters have condemned the immigration raids. Let's in fact listen in as a South Korean lawyer points out human rights violations that have taken place.
노동자들을 수갑과 족쇄에 채워 끌고 갔습니다. 이것은 명백한 인권 침해입니다. 국제인권 기준에도 반합니다.
Remember, during the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement raid, there were about 300 South Koreans who were arrested along with 175 others at the site of the Hyundai and Energy project in Atlanta. Now, this raid is the largest single-site enforcement operation in the history of the Department of Homeland Security's investigative operations. We do remember seeing those visuals of these South Korean nationals being chained. Their hands were bound, their feet were bound, their waists were chained, as well as they were dragged along by the ICE officials. Now, activists have stated that this operation targeting South Korean workers has a certain political message. Listen in.
한미 동맹을 강화하고 투자를 계속 촉진하려고 미국 측에서 계속 한국 측을 압박해 왔지 않습니까? 그런데 한편에서는 한국인 노동자들을 대상으로 해서 단속했다는 것은 일정 부분 정치적 메시지가 있지 않나 생각합니다. 극우, 흔히 말하는 어떤 미국 우선주의의 목소리를 높이는 사람들에게 호응하기 위해서 이런 액션이 취해졌다고 보고 저희가 그런 측면에서 미 대사관 앞에서.
Alright, more news coming in. South Korean President Lee Jae-myung has in fact offered his sympathy and stated that Seoul will negotiate with Washington to reach a reasonable solution to this particular situation. In fact, South Korean Foreign Minister Cho Hyun is in Washington for these negotiations. Meanwhile, Korean Air has announced that South Korea will send a chartered plane to Atlanta to bring back the detained workers. All right, viewers, shifting focus to more updates. The counselor to the President of the United States, Peter Navarro, has claimed that India's interest is interfering with the buying of Russian oil. Navarro has slammed India by stating that India has the largest population in the world and all it can do is manage a few 100,000 propagandists around the polls, and it is too funny for him that Indians use their social media platforms to advance Indian agendas. Listen in.
Well, let's see how this is going to work out. Let's see, okay, Russia getting into bed with China. China claims they own Vladivostok, the Russian port, and they're already through massive illegal immigration into Siberia, basically colonizing Siberia, which is the biggest landmass of the Russian semi-empire. So good luck with that, Putin. And then India, of course, has been at war with China for decades. I just remembered, yeah, it was China that gave Pakistan a nuclear bomb. You got ships flying around the Indian Ocean now with Chinese flags. Modi, see how you kind of work that out. Meanwhile, the Brazil economy is going down the tubes because of Lula's socialist policies. Well, they keep the real leader of that country in a cell. So let's see what happens. But the bottom line is none of these countries can survive if they don't sell to the United States. And when they sell to the United States, their exports, they're like vampires sucking our blood dry with their unfair trade practices. So, look, let's see what happens. But I don't see how the BRIC alliance stays together since historically they all hate each other and kill each other.
All right, there, of course, Peter Navarro, Trump's trade advisor, clearly irked by the extraordinary BRIC summit that was held yesterday, India's role as well. And we do see how the rhetoric of the Trump administration at large has toned down, but Navarro is continuing his tirade against India. With us on the broadcast is Ms. Shruti Dasgupta, international affairs expert, joining us from New Delhi. Ma'am, we've seen over the last couple of days Navarro make a lot of posts on social media. He's been fact-checked numerous times on X particularly, which allows for community notes. Then he went on to claim that Elon Musk is allowing false propaganda against his claims. Then he held a poll after that as well, and Indians voted in large numbers. So he's come out yet again and gone on another rant against India. This time he's pointed out towards the sort of rivalry between India and China. He's pointed out towards Pakistan's nukes, the growing Chinese naval presence in the Indian Ocean as major fault lines. What is your response to the claims that he's making, the fact that he continues to double down despite the President of the United States, Donald Trump himself, toning down his rhetoric?
Well, Navarro is a classic example of a man where gray hair doesn't prove maturity. He is barking up the wrong tree if he's trying to tell mature democracies like India, Russia, and China how to balance out their mutual interests, whether it is in terms of regional security or trade. So he is talking down to us. If he wants to bring up all those examples, maybe India should also try and point out how the Americans were helping Pakistan during the 1971 war and how Russia came to our rescue. So there are more than one players involved in ensuring that the balance of power always gets tilted towards the US or China or Russia side. So India has, of course, has its own place. We are a developing nation. We are rushing towards becoming the world's third largest economy, probably by the end of next year, if possible. But his claim that all these economies would probably die is something which doesn't kind of hold much water. Without USA, what would happen to USA if China stops exporting to them? Or what would happen to it if if they don't have India's market for their software products? They make large amount of money just by their software platforms, including the ones like YouTube and X and Facebook and all the others, where they promote ads. So they make large amounts of money from India and its population to mock the world's largest democracy. To mock India is to basically invite trouble at your doorstep, which is already knocking, which is why he's restricted who can answer to his boss. And he's basically trying to hide behind a door and tell the larger fighter, see if you can get through the door and see if you can hit me. Why would he need to engage with the Indian public? If he's an advisor, he should consider policies in a more balanced fashion. Why are we the vampires and America not? Why are these nations considered vampires when America is controlling a lot of the tech? It's trying to define who buys oil from who buys military equipment from whom, how far long should the Israel-Gaza war function, who sells to Ukraine, and who buys those equipments, and which arms lobby gets to sell its equipment to Ukraine. So America is allowed to prey on other nations, and when any retaliatory action or self-preservation actions happen, they want to talk about morals and ethics and supremacy of their own values. So it's kind of funny. I don't think we should take him too seriously. His job is to rattle cages, and that is exactly what he's doing. Any more response to him is giving him more airtime than he's actually worth.
All right, ma'am. With that, I would like to thank you for taking our time speaking to us on NewsX World. One last piece of breaking news coming in from Nepal. Latest developments coming in. The Nepalese President Ramchandra Paudel has accepted the resignation of Nepal's Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli. The President's aide has stated that President Paudel has already begun the process for a new leader's election. With that, viewers, we will continue to track more news and updates, but due to paucity of time, we must wrap up this bulletin here. More stories on the other side. Stay tuned on NewsX World.